I refused to sell my home for my brother's lavish wedding. My parents tried to pressure me and turned against me. Here's how I fought back and won. I'm 35F, and I recently achieved a huge milestone. I bought my very first home. After years of saving, careful budgeting, and late nights working, I finally had a place that was truly mine. It isn't a sprawling mansion, but it's perfect for me, a cozy retreat in a quiet, friendly neighborhood. When I shared the news with my parents, they were overjoyed. They insisted on helping with some minor renovations, which I appreciated. I thought it would be just some paint or a bit of landscaping. But as it turns out, help soon became overwhelming. Visits from them became frequent, and every time they brought someone new, a neighbor, a distant relative, or someone from their social circle, my home felt less like a private space and more like a showpiece. I tried to brush it off, thinking they were proud of me. See, my younger brother, Michael, 32M, has always been the golden child. He's 3 years younger than me, but he was given everything he wanted growing up. Deluxe gadgets, credit cards to buy whatever he pleased, trips, you name it. I loved him, but my parents always put him first. Now, Michael was getting married to someone who didn't have his financial background, but had similar high-end tastes. Suddenly, my parents started asking about my house, how much it was worth, the mortgage, refinancing options. At first, I thought they were just curious, but then they invited me to dinner and asked me to bring all my property and mortgage documents. I agreed, thinking it was harmless. Soon, strange things started happening. Neighbors mentioned seeing my house online, and a friend emailed me a real estate listing, complete with photos from the renovations my parents had done. My heart sank. My house was on the market without my consent. Confronting my parents, they initially pretended it was innocent, like they were just exploring options. But eventually, they admitted the truth. They listed my home to use its equity to fund Michael's extravagant wedding. According to them, I had achieved my dream of homeownership, so it was fair that my home could help Michael achieve his. They truly believed that because they had assisted with renovations, they had a say in what I could do with my property. I was shocked at their entitlement. I told them clearly, my house was not for sale and I would not finance his wedding. They didn't back down. They resorted to guilt trips, emotional manipulation, and reminders of what they had done for me in the past. They framed my refusal as me putting money over family. Then Michael called. He was furious, accusing me of being selfish and ruining his wedding dreams. I stood my ground. I didn't need to sell my home for him to have a wonderful wedding, and I had friends who supported me, confirming that I had every right to protect my property. The family split opinions. Some thought my parents had gone too far, while others said I should compromise to maintain family unity. Soon, I received an ultimatum: sell the house or face being disowned. My fiancé, Thomas, 37M, has been my rock through all of this, offering advice and unwavering support. My grandfather, William, 77M, has also stood firmly by my side, criticizing my parents' favoritism and supporting my choices. I sought legal counsel. The lawyer recommended safeguarding my home, changing locks, securing documents, and taking every precaution against further interference. I followed the advice immediately. Despite these measures, my parents escalated things on social media, portraying me as the villain, selfishly denying my brother his dream wedding. Friends and distant relatives began messaging me, scolding me for allegedly tearing the family apart. Michael even showed up at my home, shouting that I was prioritizing money over family. I calmly reaffirmed, my home is mine, and I will not sell it. I continued therapy to deal with the emotional fallout and began meticulously recording every interaction with my family. Thomas and I quietly started planning our own wedding, small, private, and meaningful. With my grandfather's support, we focused on what mattered to us, ignoring the chaos my parents created online and within the extended family. 3 weeks later, the situation worsened. My parents eventually removed my home listing after a cease and desist from my lawyer. But instead of apologizing, they accused me of harassment and continued blaming me for family conflict, claiming my refusal to help Michael was selfish. Michael confronted me again at my home, insisting I owed them my support. I stayed calm, refusing to compromise. My parents cut all communication, trying to isolate me and push me into giving in. Friends reminded me that I was in the right. I noticed subtle signs of tampering at my house. Locks seemed fiddled with, my hair appeared different. I immediately replaced all locks. Therapy helped me process the betrayal, while recording conversations made me feel more in control. Thomas and I continued our wedding preparations quietly. I refused to let my family ruin the life I worked so hard to build. 2 months later, we did it. We got married. Thomas and I had a small, intimate ceremony attended by close friends, his family, and my grandfather William, who proudly walked me down the aisle. It was beautiful, private, and exactly what we wanted. As soon as we returned, my phone exploded with messages from Michael and my mother, furious at missing out. But the wedding photos shared by a supportive relative caused public sympathy to swing in our favor. My grandfather even confronted my parents, calling out their behavior. Eventually, my father threatened divorce if my mother didn't reconcile with me. Despite the ongoing drama, Thomas and I are focused on our life together. My home, our wedding, and our future are ours, and nothing, not even family pressure, will take that away. Since my last post a month ago, things have taken a dramatic turn. Many family members, including those I hadn't invited to the wedding, have reached out with messages of regret, claiming they didn't realize how extreme the situation had become. Honestly, I don't entirely believe them. I had informed my parents about my wedding and even handed out formal invitations. Most people responded. Those who didn't RSVP either claimed prior commitments or simply ignored my messages. Michael and my mother were among the ones who didn't respond at all. I intentionally left out the exact date, knowing he would have a football game that day, and my attempts to mention the wedding earlier were always brushed aside. In hindsight, I probably should have stopped trying, but I still wanted to see if they would take any genuine interest. Over the years, I had maintained distance from my family. High school, college, and graduate school all provided natural breaks, but they always tried to pull me back in with guilt, reminding me of my mother's sisters and grandparents. Yet now, with Thomas by my side, I felt stronger, more confident, and finally ready to face them. My father's side of the family lives across the country. I had never really known where I stood with them, though I stayed in contact. When I tried to share the abuse I experienced as a teenager, they initially defended me, but my parents' retaliation at home made me doubt myself. Only my grandfather knew the full truth, constantly worried that intervening might cause me resentment. I had also moved away from my parents' city, so they barely knew my current address. Michael once even tried to break into my old apartment to steal money, with my mother excusing him because siblings share everything. Now, the moment for confrontation had arrived. I arranged to meet my father, mother, and Michael at a neutral park. My father's siblings came along to mediate, while I had my lawyer on speed dial, a folder of documentation and unwavering determination. As soon as we gathered, I placed a thick folder on the park bench between us. This contains everything: texts, emails, social media posts, court documents, proof of your attempts to seize my house, I stated calmly. It also included records of financial misconduct. I turned to my mother. Remember the college fund you said was destroyed in the fire? My grandfather preserved copies. It's interesting how that money ended up in Michael's accounts. Michael started to protest, but I interrupted firmly. Not yet. I continued. Surveillance footage, records of his attempted break-in, evidence of tampering with my house locks, all included. When my father tried to speak, I raised a hand. I'm not here to apologize. I'm here to explain what happens next. I presented calculations showing compound interest and listed every item diverted from my college fund. You have two choices: return the entire sum with interest, or I will file formal charges for financial fraud. My attorney is prepared. My mother scoffed. You wouldn't risk your family. I gave her an icy smile. When you tried to take my house, you forfeited the right to claim we're family. I also requested restraining orders against all three of them, citing emotional abuse, harassment, and attempted break-ins. Michael finally spoke. You can't do this to us, I calmly replied. And your lavish wedding, while you planned that, I recorded every threat, every attempt to steal from me, every deceptive message. My lawyers specializing in family financial abuse are already involved. Certain irregularities in your finances have attracted IRS attention, particularly regarding undisclosed gifts you received from my parents. The park fell silent. Even the background noise of children playing seemed muted. My mother went pale, my father looked sickly. I continued steadily. Within 72 hours, you will return the entire college fund with interest. You will cease all communication with my husband, my friends, and me. All social media posts about me will be deleted, and no new ones may appear. Violating any of these conditions will result in legal action, restraining orders, fraud charges, and IRS notifications. I then addressed Michael. Your golden child status ends here. Your attempted break-ins and threats have been reported to your employer's HR department. They are reviewing your behavior in the context of company policies." My mother's voice trembled as she asked, "Would you ruin your family for money?" "No," I said firmly. "I am not ruining the family. I'm ensuring you cannot hurt me again and reclaiming what you wrongfully took." I stood, gathering my documents. "You have 72 hours. My attorney will monitor compliance. My grandfather holds all original records as additional evidence." I turned back once more. "You had 20 years to do right by me. That time is over. Now face the consequences." The outcome was exactly as I expected. Within 48 hours, the full amount of my college fund, including interest, was returned. Every social media post from my mother about me was deleted. Michael was placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. My grandfather reported that my father eventually filed for divorce. Thomas and I upgraded our home security with some of the refunded funds and made a generous donation to a charity aiding victims of familial financial abuse. My parents' reputation in their community has collapsed completely. Michael's fiancée ended the relationship after learning about his misconduct. I won't pretend there aren't moments when it still stings, but every morning I wake up in my safe, secure home, I know I made the right decision. Thomas and I are planning a lavish honeymoon funded partly by the refunded college money. I've framed my professional degrees, certifications, and a copy of the final bank transfer in my home office, not as trophies, but as a reminder that taking a stand was necessary. The money is not the point. It's about drawing a line and asserting my autonomy. To anyone who might criticize me for being too harsh or unwilling to forgive, forgiveness is optional. Protecting yourself from manipulation is sometimes the strongest action you can take. I am not the villain. My home is mine. My life is mine. My future is mine. Thomas and I are thriving, hosting friends, and enjoying our safe, happy home. I've received 3 promotions at work since reclaiming my emotional freedom. Living well, holding others accountable, and standing firm has proven to be more rewarding than any passive revenge. My mother can no longer manipulate conversations or narratives. Michael is learning the consequences of his actions. My father's attempt to remain neutral failed. I am ready to continue my life on my own terms, grateful for those who supported me. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not prerequisites for happiness. Sometimes, saying never again and protecting your boundaries is the only way forward. I finally claimed my life, and I will never let anyone take it from me. Thank you for being part of our community. Your likes, comments, and shares help us bring more unbelievable Reddit family stories every day. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a shocking story.